guys, welcome to SheKnowsArsenal. My name is Jessica. I'm your host. You can follow me on Twitter at JacinioTweets and at SheKnowsArsenal. Welcome back to the show. Another daily Arsenal news type show. Honestly, these shows are just, and all the transfer rumors that are coming out are just a really good distraction for the North London derby. I just can't even start thinking about that. But tomorrow we will start building up to that game. I'm thinking a early preview, something done a little bit like around this time. And then later on that night, maybe doing like a phone-in show or something so everybody can kind of get their thoughts and feelings out there, like literally on screen. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. And then I know Arsenal Vision will be doing a pre-match live stream before the North London derby. So make sure you guys are subscribed to their channel as well. I always forget to turn this down. So yeah, I am starting to get really nervous about the North London derby and what that could mean for our season, if we were to win it. I don't know if you guys know any Spurs fans, maybe you guys do, but I know the ones that I've spoken to feel like we're too confident and there's too many Arsenal fans out there that are thinking that it's just going to be like this easy game. And I don't really feel like any of us think that, but I do think that we've seen enough from this team over the season to feel like we can go there and get a result. So sometimes Arsenal confidence gets misconstrued with arrogance. And I don't think there's very many Arsenal fans that I talk to that feel like this is just going to be like a very easy result. But in the meantime, because we have like a day or so to actually think about this, we can talk about transfer rumors and what's going on at Arsenal in the meantime. So make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel. Also want to let you guys know that I'm working really hard to put together, some really good guests and some different types of shows for next season. I know you guys really like shows where, sometimes it's me by myself and then other times with different guests. I've reached out to several different people. Deluded Gunnar is one, and Sophie from the Highbury Squad to do some sort of bi-weekly or monthly or weekly show starting next season, as well as Colleen. She's on the Football Terrace and sometimes she's on Latte Firm. We're working on something as well. So in conjunction with, upping the quality and making sure that I'm more consistent and making sure that the guests are better, I'm working on a schedule that's going to give you guys all the things that you ask for and some more members only content and stuff like that. So if you guys are not subscribed, make sure you guys subscribe. It's free. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe to the channel, but you don't want to miss out on all the things coming for next season. And this summer, I will be having transfer experts come on to the show and let us know what's going on with Arsenal in regards to incomings and outgoings. So let's see who's in the chat. Let's see what you guys are talking about. All right. Pap says, hello to you as well. Mafia Boss says, welcome, Jess. Welcome to you as well. Thank you for showing up. TJ Emerson says, hey, Jess, I am from Scotland and I was at the game. Aaron Hickey made his debut and he came off of the bench and scored versus Dundee United. We should get him. He is good. Also, Igal on 12th Man Show has set us up. What has he said? Hey, I think that for the North London derby, it's important to remember that Spurs are only a point behind us or so, or no, they're not a point. They're 4 points behind us, but that's not a really big margin. And so Spurs have great players at the top end of their pitch. At top end of the pitch, they have a world-class manager. It's very close, and we don't actually have to win it. If I could take a draw, I would take it now. I just feel like it's going to be a very difficult game. And I'm not going to be out there in the streets saying that we're 100% going to win. And because that's just not who I am. If I felt like we're going to 100% win, I would say it. I just think it's going to be a very difficult game, but Igal's very confident and wants to go ahead and get his narrative out there. So that's on him. Giovanni says, Jess. Hey guys. Akao says, Edu should buy Osimhen and stop always trying to buy Brazilian players. Seems he can only get deals with Brazilians. Last season, it was Neto, Royale, Arthur Melo, wildly Brazilian players. I would say you guys know I have an affinity towards Brazilian players. Ronaldinho is my favorite player ever. I follow the Brazilian national team. That is my jam. That is my thing. So it's not so much that I have an issue with Edu using his connections to bring in Brazilian players. I just feel like we should be getting Neymar before he becomes Neymar. We should be getting Gabriel Jesus before he goes to Manchester City. I think that's what I'm missing from Edu. I'm not seeing a lot of like before the player gets big, we start looking at them. I thought that that's what we'd be getting from him. And ultimately, like I know a lot of people give him credit for Martinelli. That was done by Francis Cagigao mostly and our scouting team. He just kind of came up and wrapped the deal up. But I kind of expected him to, like we were linked with Bruno Guimaraes before he went to Lyon, and Juninho ended up being able to kind of get that deal over the line. And I was disappointed because I felt like he was going to be a great player, and he obviously is. And if we had gotten him before, we wouldn't be looking at him playing for Newcastle right now. So I am a little bit disappointed that we haven't been able to like get in on the ground floor on some of these young South American talents. Maybe that's something that Edu can bring us in the future. But right now, it just seems like he does just kind of have that connection with the more established Brazilian players and not even the ones in their prime. Like, I don't think he can get the Bruno Guimaraes and the Paquetás and these types of guys over the line. It's more of we're kind of at the end of our career, or we're on the outs somewhere, and now we need somewhere else to go. So it is a little bit disappointing. Tony says, I'm happy for the transfer talk. Anything to keep my mind off of Thursday. I hear you. Joseph says, if Nuno doesn't have a solid loan spell next season and we bring someone else in for backup, I don't think he'll be able to continue, even if he continues to develop. You guys, there is a community poll going on right now. You guys know I like to get your guys' thoughts on things, and this is not an echo chamber. If you guys feel differently about things than I do, please let me know in the chat. But the community poll for today is about Nuno with the strong links to Aaron Hickey, which we'll talk about in just a second. What does that do for Nuno? I am an advocate for Arsenal failing fast and then pivoting in the direction that we need to. And if Edu and Arteta have already thought like, okay, Nuno is not working, I'd rather us go ahead and replace him and do something else. But there is a part of the fan base that felt like he was better than Kieran Tierney and he should have been starting over Kieran Tierney, and things have really shifted since he's had that bad run of form. So yeah, some decisions might need to be made in regards to Nuno Tavares. Okay. Paul says versatility is key moving forward, and Hickey, as well as having an opportunity to thrive under Mikel Arteta, he is very versatile. We are seeing a trend with the players that we're being linked to have more of that versatility and the ability to play in different positions and use both feet. I think that that's important. We have so many left-sided players and ones that really like sometimes look like they can't kick the ball with the right foot. And so getting that two-footedness and having players that can do different things, and also with the footballing IQ, I think will make us just a better all-around team. Saida says, hey, Jess, hope you're doing well. I am. I hope you're doing well as well. Matt G says, always great content, Jess. Thank you so much. You've been here since the beginning, and I love that. Amira says, I'm not having the same odd feeling I get before we lost to CP or Brighton, so I was confident we'll get something until I saw Aaron do an interview, because every time he does a pregame, we lose. Fair enough. Don One says, you need a daily spot on the Arsenal Vision pod. We need more ladies talking about the game. Send that to Yankee Gunner. Send that to Elliot. Tell him you guys want me on the Arsenal Vision podcast more often. He has said that he wants to have me on the podcast more, so don't go in on him too hard, but put a little bit of pressure on him, because I love going on that podcast, and it has been an honor for me to be on there, because going from a patron to somebody that's actually on it felt like a big step up for me. So I really enjoy that one. Gio, thank you so much for your super chat. I really appreciate it. It says, big up, Jess. That Saliba news is fake. My club Milan already have a deal for Botman. Question, do you ever go to Fox and the Hounds for games? So Saliba news, I hope it's fake, because we need Saliba to come back ASAP. You know, there's no point in getting rid of him and, you know, bringing in somebody else who's not as good as him. So I would be happy to have that news be fake. Botman is a very good player. Happy he didn't go to Newcastle. But Fox and the Hounds, I have been there before for a game. Actually watched us, I think, lose to Manchester City last season. with the Fox and the Hounds. I don't go super often because you guys know, like, I kind of have to be here to do match reactions and stuff like that. So I don't get to go very often, but it's a great place to go watch the games. And it's just nice to be able to feel like you have a game day type of atmosphere that you would maybe, it's not anything like being in England, but something similar, trying to be like it. The food is really good there as well. So I've been there once. All right, you guys, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's see. There's about 100 of you guys in here as well. I need to see at least 100 likes. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. But like, for real though, I need to see it. All right. So ELNENY, why is his face up here? Why is it all big? Okay, so ELNENY, I just wanted to wrap this up because we did a very long section on ELNENY yesterday. If you guys didn't get a chance to watch that show, I would go back and watch that one if you want to see the conversation that we had around ELNENY in more depth. But I thought the contract was going to be a 2-year contract. It looks like it might be 3, and that's coming from Ekram. Now, he's not always 100% reliable, but what I will say is that a 3-year deal seems long to me. But when it's a 3-year deal, to me, it's more like a 2-year deal. It's not really like that big of a difference, but it does seem kind of long for ELNENY because he's already 30, isn't he? 29, 30 years old. So yeah, but 3-year deal for ELNENY. I just want to get just answers from you guys, yes or no. Is the 3-year deal right for ELNENY? Do you think it's too long? Do you think it's just right? Are you thinking that ELNENY just absolutely has to stay? What are you guys thinking? You guys kind of know my thoughts on it. I don't necessarily feel like we need to be dying to re-sign ELNENY. You guys know how I feel about the culture, guys. I think talent is a little bit more important than that, but you do need these characters in the dressing room. And also, what does this do for, like, if ELNENY is going to be kind of like the backup number 6, somebody that can be a kind of like a buffer in between Thomas Partey and Lokonga, because Lokonga has looked very green. And it looks like Arteta has kind of realized, okay, like, if I need somebody to step in for Thomas Partey, it needs to be Mo ELNENY. And he's really stepped up his game in a way where I feel like, okay, well, early stages of European group stages, he could come in and do a job. Thomas Partey inevitably rolls his ankle. ELNENY can come in and do a job. But where does that leave Granit Xhaka? If we're looking at Youri Tielemans, I would just imagine that somebody of that group of midfielders is going to go. Xhaka's role, if he's not going to be playing as a number 6, and we bring in somebody like Youri Tielemans to play as the left-sided 8, does that mean that Granit Xhaka is redundant? What does his role become if we move away from, the double pivot type of thing? Because even if you wanted to play with the double pivot, couldn't you do it with ELNENY and Thomas Partey instead? So does anybody become redundant? I kind of had my heart set on somebody going, and us moving on from some of these players. But I mean, fair enough if we end up keeping Xhaka and ELNENY, but ELNENY's getting a new deal, and Granit Xhaka's role in the double pivot doesn't seem like it's going to be that needed next season if we bring in a new midfielder. So what do you guys think? Josh with an exclamation point says, I suspect we loan Sambi and we get Youri and another. I wouldn't be too upset with that. Saida says, in the last few games, ELNENY has played well. Wouldn't it be wiser to try to sell him now, or is he a free agent in the summer onwards? He would be a free agent, so we wouldn't be able to sell him. So it's either like let him go for free or give him a new deal. Shola says, 3 years is cool. He's a perfect squad player. Won't kick up a fuss for playing time. Loves the club. Is an example for the younger players and is solid when he comes in. Cool. Tony says he's 29 until he's 30. As long as he doesn't block the development of anybody, I'm good. I don't think he really would block anything for anybody. I think Sambi is far away. I think he's like 3 or 4 years away. I have to be honest. And I don't see where he gets that day in, day out game time in order to kind of speed up the process. So I don't think ELNENY necessarily blocks anybody. I just wonder if if ELNENY is the Thomas Partey backup, then I mean, maybe Xhaka is the Tielemans backup, but I don't really know. I don't really know where Xhaka really lies in all of this. C. Wilder says he's 2 qualities, reliable and happy to sit on the bench for long periods. Makes me think we should just keep him. Matt Whitham says, our Egyptian king bossing the midfield. Liverpool's can't even make the starting lineup. Okay, that's tongue in cheek. Fair enough. Dublin Gunner says, I'm relaxed about Mo, not expensive, no trouble, and useful as we're finding out now. Yeah, it seems like everybody's pretty okay with it, which is fine. You know, it is what it is. Pap says, no for Elneny. We need to move on from these players. True Gunners TV says, Elneny new contract. Oh, he's like a new signing. Matt G says, I think 2 years with an option for one to extend. I mean, that's kind of that's all it could really be. You know, we can't, at some point, we do need to move on from these guys. And Elneny, like, if he does a job into the end of the season and we get into the top 4, I will never take that away from him, ever. Like, I'll never sit there and revise history and act like he didn't have a big part to play. That being said, I just feel like, and maybe that's the plan, is to just keep some of these guys in here, like, and then build over time. What I've read is that Arsenal want to improve the starting 11, and so we're not quite at the step where we're really building that quality in our depth positions. So that's kind of where Elneny comes in, and so it is what it is. You guys know, if it was up to me, I'd let him go. And bring in somebody else, bring in a free signing, a younger one that's a better player, that even if he's not necessarily 100% better, would become better than him, because Elneny is as good as he's going to get probably. But hey, there you go. Dade County, Florida, thank you so much for your super chat. TJ Emerson says, after he continues the deal, we need him to keep passing the ball forward. I mean, imagine if as soon as he signed the deal, he was like, okay, back to sideways and backwards. Josh says Danilo and Yuri bought this summer, and Elneny stays as some cup guy. Fair enough. Don One says, I would give him a 2-year deal. He'll be 33 when he leaves. Yeah, he's one of those that's going to end his career at Arsenal, isn't he? Saida says, according to some United fans, Mourinho is interested in signing Matic. If that's the case, Xhaka is definitely staying. And I feel like Mourinho would much rather have Matic. I mean, he's worked with him before, and that's kind of like his type of guy. Roma were never going to pay us what we wanted for Granit Xhaka, ever. They're going to send Maitland-Niles back to our doorstep as well. So I haven't really seen that there's been like a lot of people out there that want to buy Granit Xhaka. So if he stays, he stays. I just know I'm looking forward to some of these guys moving on, but hey, that's just me. I just want to see something new, you know, but there you go. Cancun says, if we're going to CL, we do need depth. If we're going to Europa League, we need depth. Like, if we're in Europa League, I feel like we need to treat it as if we're in the Champions League. Because if we're in Europa League, we need to be in the final. Like, you know what I mean? So either way, we need depth. You know what I mean? Matt says, Jess, would you bring Guendouzi back? I'd be half tempted if his attitude was better. No and no. So with Guendouzi, I think that's just a situation where a lot of people, like, they'll watch him play. And yes, he's a very talented player. He's done very well for himself. I'll never take that away from him. I think he is the type of player that if you have him on your team, you kind of like him. And if you're on the opposition team, you hate him. You need those types of players sometimes. What I do like is that he came straight into Arsenal as a 19-year-old and started playing right off the bat. So there's clearly talent there. I think Torreira and Matteo Guendouzi came in at a strange time, and in an alternate universe, they both could be playing for Arsenal right now. That being said, he's pretty much gone. He's a Marseille player. The loan that we had that trigger clause where when he meets a certain set of obligations, it becomes an obligation to buy for about 10 million. So he's gone, and I didn't like his attitude. When people are like, well, look at what Guendouzi's doing, I'm like, well, look at what ESR, Saka, Martinelli, all of our other young players are doing. It's not like we don't have young players that are playing well. So the idea that Arteta hates young players and hates Saliba and Guendouzi doesn't really hold weight, because Guendouzi was an asshole, you know? So, and all he had to do was apologize. People don't like talking about culture things. For me, it's not really something that I do feel like it's important, but I do think talent is mostly important. But if somebody's just see you next Tuesday and they just don't fit in with the group and the manager just doesn't want them around and he seems okay to go, I just think you have to let this kind of stuff go. So for me, Guendouzi, not only is he gone and he is a Marseille player, I wouldn't bring him back. I think that's just, we need to just move on from that for me. So yeah, ELNENY doing his thing, getting a 3-year deal. There you go. Keep passing forwards. So moving on, let's talk about Aaron Hickey. So more reports coming out that this is looking like something that could really materialize. This is coming from Core Sport. A meeting will take place between Bologna and Arsenal for the transfer of Aaron Hickey in the next few hours. Arsenal have decided to accelerate things and to close the deal soon. So this is one of the type of deals that I feel like we could easily get done now that we know that we have European football. And so there's some transfers that will need us to qualify for Champions League to get over the line. I think Yuri Tielemans is one of those. But this is something where if you could, I mean, you could basically promise him game time because we'll be in European competition and both of our fullbacks have injury issues and he can play on both sides. He's 19 years old. He has like 6 goals this season. He's both footed. So unlike Cedric, who they told us could play on both sides competently, he actually can because he has 2 feet. Quite similarly to Tomiyasu. I don't know if that's something that they recruit at Bologna, but it's definitely something that we need to take advantage of because if you can play on both sides, you can actually cover both Tomiyasu and Kieran Tierney. And as much as I want to bring in 2 full-on fullbacks, I just feel like the demolition that needs to happen in midfield and in the attack won't allow for us to really go that hard in those fullback positions. So somebody like this could be very useful to us. And this is something that I would like for us to be able to freaking announce before the season even ends. Like, what would stop you? It's going to take about 20 million euros. They know Napoli is also very interested, but why would you want to go to Napoli when you can play for Arsenal? I think this is a no-brainer. Scottish, I don't know if he knows Tierney or not. I'm sure he does. But he's somebody that I would like to see come in. I was really interested in the Livramento links, but now that he's out for the season, or out for all of 2022, it's kind of like, damn, because I personally think he would be a perfect right back for us. I think you bring in Aaron Hickey, you let him do both sides, and then you look and see what's going on with Livramento in next year. I wouldn't just buy any random right back because we know what that could be like, Cedric. So Aaron Hickey looks good. But the question just really is what's going to happen with Nuno. So the thing that I like about this, which is similar to the Willian thing, is fail fast. Like if it's not working out, bring in somebody. Don't make Arteta have to continue to use somebody that clearly doesn't fit. I think Nuno would be really good in a team that plays with 3 center backs where he could just be a wing back because that's basically what he is. But he's somebody that's come in with like 20 appearances under his belt for the first team at Benfica. And appearances don't mean starts and don't mean you played 90 minutes. He has very little first team experience under his belt. And for him to be used as the left back to deputize for Kieran Tierney, I think has just proved to be too much, especially in this crunch time. Kieran Tierney always runs out of gas or gets injured at the business end of the season. Now we can have debates till the cows come home about what we should be doing with Kieran Tierney. But if we had a better backup left back, we wouldn't be talking about Kieran Tierney's injuries. This was meant to already be fixed through Nuno. I think the Nuno signing is more of an issue than Kieran Tierney's injuries because we've been known about that. So somebody like this, if they come in, I do think you have to make a decision on Nuno Tavares because he's not going to get a lot of playing time. I think if this is somebody that Arteta really likes, we know he'll double down on him and Nuno won't see the light of day. So maybe he needs to go on loan to a team that plays in a similar style that he can be successful in. I do think there's something there. I do think there's a B-Tech Alphonso Davies in there somewhere, but we are just too close to Champions League and we're just in too delicate of a situation in our process where we can't really have somebody like this backing up one of our most important players. So I'm all for this signing, but I want to know what you guys think about Nuno Tavares. Does he have a future at Arsenal? Let me see the community poll and see what you guys are saying. 68% of you guys say yes, and 32% of you guys say no. That's with 120 votes. So there's a lot of you guys that do feel like Nuno Tavares has a future at Arsenal Football Club. What do you think that looks like? I've seen people suggest that maybe he should be moved into a winger position. If you were a winger and you got moved into a fullback position, that's because you weren't good enough as a winger. So I don't really think that that's something that Arsenal should be doing, is trying to figure out a way to use him further forward. But do you think he goes on loan and comes back? What's the deal? What's the deal, guys? TJ Emerson says loan Nuno out. iGamer says yeah, loan for Nuno. Pap says Tierney should start but needs to be subbed off 20 minutes before the game for Nuno. Captain Joka says Nuno Tavares will play in the FA Cup and the League Cup. We have plenty of games. Amira says I have seen Hickey comment on some of Tommy's post-game Instagram posts, so there's a chance he watches this regularly, or at least has a good friendship with Tommy. Could make a move easier for him. I mean, having Kieran Tierney and I think having Tomiyasu could help us get this over the line. So yeah, Pap says Nuno can replace Pepe. I just think if you weren't good enough as a winger and they moved you back to fullback, that pretty much informs you about what your capabilities are as a winger. LF says he's defo a wingback. Dade County, Florida says Nuno almost cost Arsenal the season already. I mean, the heart attacks that we were having off of the back of some of the things that he was doing is not something that I really want to feel anymore. Zach 10 says a goal scoring left back. He is a goal scoring left back. He has 6 goals for Bologna, I think, this season. And so he does have a little bit about him in the final third. And what I like about him is that he can play with both feet. He's an actual fullback, like meaning he can defend. And I watched him play 2 games and I thought he could probably withstand the Premier League and how fast paced it is and how physical it is. Sometimes coming from a different league, you're like, can they get up to speed? But Tomiyasu can, and I also think that this guy can as well. Matt G says, I'm excited by the idea of Hickey. Captain Joka says Bologna is our new Southampton. Maybe, maybe. There's something about the fullbacks there that Arsenal clearly like. Josh says, and we need Molina if we can as well. If we can do a deal with Pablo Mari going the other way. What I've seen from Molina, I have to say that I just don't know, because a lot of his clips are of him going forward and scoring a lot of goals. That is so exciting. I need to see him defend. I need to see him defend. I don't think that because we're looking for an attacking right back to balance out Tomiyasu, that should mean that they should not be able to defend. But anybody that watches Serie A on a regular basis and can tell me what Molina is like, if he can defend, let me know, because Serie A, I don't watch every single game. I'll try to catch the bigger games. I don't watch them all. I can rewatch them, but Molina's somebody that when you look at his clips, he looks damn good going forward. I just need to see that he can defend at least competently. We don't need another Bellerin. Captain Joka says, oh yeah, you said that already. Sorry. TJ Emerson says he's best mates with Tierney. Jess, we have quality banter. Saida says, if you're correct, Jess. Nuno is more suited to a back 3. I don't believe we scouted him properly. It feels like Adu just got the signing done because it was an easy transfer to complete. I love that you said that, Saida, because I think we went really big on this being a perfect transfer window. And I still think that, for me, Adu is on fraud watch. I don't think he has the best connections and the best. He's really not the best in class. Let's not sit here and act like he's this amazing director of football. And he's made mistakes. And Willian was one, and Nuno Tavares could have cost us the season, if we're honest. And that was a signing that a lot of people at the beginning of the season said was excellent. It was a good gamble at $6 million, but ultimately we need to invest in the backup left back because Kieran Tierney is not reliable. I think Lukanga is a little bit different because I see quality in Sambi, but that position is so specific and so needs somebody with that type of experience that he needs to grow into it. Nuno Tavares doesn't even have similar qualities to Kieran Tierney, really. They're so different. And so, yeah, I think Adu got that one wrong. And so we have to put that one in the no column, even though I think Odegaard, Ben White, Ramsdale, Tomiyasu were slam dunks. Let's see. Arsenalist says we need somebody like Cucurella from Brighton. I think the thing about Cucurella is like, well, first of all, I am the president of the Cucurella fan club. He is one of my favorite players to watch. I absolutely love him. At one point, we were linked to him, and I watched him at Getafe, and I was like, wow, he's really good. Obviously, I think he's somebody else who came from Barcelona's academy. So no, there's like no surprise that he's good on the ball. But what I like is that I think he could play fullback. I know that a lot of times Brighton play with 3 center backs, but he doesn't seem flaky like a lot of wing backs do. I think he's better than Lamptey. And he has the ability to go forward. He has the stamina and the physicality to actually defend in this league, not just catch up to people and use pace like a lot of fullbacks do in this league. He can actually defend. And I see him going to like City or something like that. I really do. I think he's just that good. And I think Brighton bought him for like 15 million or something like that. I wouldn't even answer the phone for anything less than 40 million if I was Brighton. And I would not sell him this summer either. I would try to push. If Brighton got a striker, they might be able to make a push for European places. They just don't have a striker. So I wouldn't even sell him this summer. I would maybe try to sell him the summer after. And I would ask for 40 million plus. I mean, he's just that good. But do I think we're in the market for a starter? No, I think we need somebody who's closer to Kieran Tierney, but also is kind of okay with being a backup. Michael says, do you think the future, like 3 years, he could replace Tierney? Probably. Kieran Tierney will need replacing, but I also think that Kieran Tierney could be somewhat of an Azpilicueta for us. I'm not quite ready to throw him away. You know what I mean? I'm not quite ready to throw him away. I know there's a lot of Arsenal fans that are like, we need to get rid of Kieran Tierney now. Just gave him a big deal. We did not do well with the backup for Kieran Tierney. So now we're looking at Kieran Tierney. Very similarly to now we're looking at Thomas Partey because we didn't really get the backup situation right. So I'm not quite ready to throw those players in the bin. Pap says, question, Jess, if you say Tierney is not reliable because of his injuries, would you sell him? Is Partey inches in the same boat? So that's kind of what I was just saying. No, I would not. I think I would prefer to see us with competent backup. The reason why, like, Kieran Tierney and Thomas Partey on their day are so good for us. And I would say Thomas Partey is top 5 midfielders in the league when he's fit. But when you have players like that are a little bit brittle, but you play them into the ground and they're playing 90 minutes against Norwich when we're 5-0 up. They're playing 90 minutes against Leeds when we're 4-1 up. Those minutes and plus their international minutes just break them down. And I feel like there's been times where Arteta didn't rotate the squad and didn't really give them any time off because he was so nailed into this starting 11, which I understand why. When we get competent backup, I don't think we'll be talking about these players as much. We'll be able to rotate them. If they get a little knock here and there, we can keep them out without it being such a big deal. But for me, like Thomas Partey on his day is a top 5 midfielder in the league. I don't think you just get rid of that because he can't play every single game in a season. We need to learn how to use him better. When he came back from Crystal Palace, the report said that we knew about his fatigue. We knew that he had just come back from Ghana, or just back from African qualifiers. Basically, flying to and from Africa is not that easy. And you would think after what happened against Liverpool when he got the red card, we would have kind of keyed in on that. But we still played him, even though we knew about it. And he got injured. So sometimes I just think it's more about us using our players correctly and not burning them out versus let's just get rid. Especially when it comes to Thomas Partey, because those type of midfielders don't just fall off trees. Like, it's too good. with Tierney, I think he's an important member of the squad and this particular project. And so I would wait another season before I make any rash decisions. So yeah, let's move on. There's 160 of you guys watching. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Saliba. Let's talk about Saliba. All right. So Saliba. This is coming from John Cross. Whether you think he's reliable or not, whatever. Says Milan are interested in signing William Saliba. Over the January transfer window, Saliba's agent was talking to Real Madrid and AC Milan. So these links, there's something to them. Now, they may have been interested or are still interested in him, but I think the most important part of this this report is Arsenal have still not decided the future of the player. And I just wonder, like, what's going on? You know, what's going on? You know, why have, like, I would imagine at some point soon we would hear about us offering him a new deal so that we can move forward with this. The anxiety that I feel around William Saliba and whether he's going to stay at Arsenal or not is like just so I need it to go away. Like, I need them to make a decision. And I just don't understand why with European competition, why we wouldn't just go ahead and give him the contract, move on, and just wrap it up. Like Gallagher, like there was never a time where he was like, oh, well, I love Crystal Palace and this is my club and, you know, blah, blah, blah. He's always said, I want to go back to Chelsea and play for Chelsea and my future is Chelsea and all that. I don't hear that from William Saliba. And that doesn't mean that he doesn't feel that, but I want to feel that from him. But I feel like he won't say that unless we offer him a new deal and offer him minutes, substantial minutes. And so I'm worried. Like, you know, I'm a little bit worried that, like, what are we waiting on? You know, we need backup center backs. Pablo Marie is going to go. And so we can't just have Holding. And nobody wants to, like, go into next season or into this next summer window talking about center backs. Like, I don't want to. Every single window, freaking, we sign a freaking center back. And I just don't feel like doing it again. So whether or not, you know, Milan being interested in him, which I do think they are, but maybe it's not that deep of an interest. Also, you guys, transfer rumors don't just come out of nowhere. People just don't make shit up. Journalists can't do that in their job. There's always some little tidbit of truth in there. It may not be like Milan are dying to sign him. They may have some interest in him. I think the most important part of this is that Arsenal have still not decided on the future. And that's not the first time that I've heard that. Gunner Blog talked about it. James McNicholas talked about it on the Arscast, that there's been no conversations between Arsenal and Saliba about his future. And I just wonder, like, why, like, what's going on? But maybe the season ends and they unveil him again and it's great and wonderful. So it's not something that I feel like we need to be, like, you know, going on strike about. I just wonder what's going on with that. TJ Emerson says, yeah, we need Saliba around for UCL games or cup games. Yeah, and Ben White and Gabriel not only need the ability to rotate, but they also need competition for their place. They don't have that right now. So yeah, they don't have competition for their place right now. And I think similarly to the way that City rotate Stones, Laporte, and Diaz, we can do that with our three as well. I don't see why that wouldn't be a possibility. And Tomiyasu can kind of be an Ake of sorts, but better, if that makes sense, can kind of play center back and fullback. That's what I think. Josh says Saliba news is cap. It broke last week that he is coming back to fight. I mean, it's just two different things. And I think as long as he doesn't have the new deal, it's always going to be interpreted as something that's in the balance. Ally or Ollie, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. I apologize. If Saliba doesn't sign a new contract, it's good. We sell him as early and we buy someone like Fofana. Fofana is going to cost you easily 40 to 50 million. Leicester are not going to sell him for cheap. So I think he just signed a new deal. So whatever we sell Saliba for, at 2 years left on his deal, which is probably no more than what we paid for him, about 30 million, because we overpaid for him in the beginning. He was never worth 30 million at 19 or whatever, 18 years old. So getting 30 million and then using that plus extra transfer funds to go bring in Fofana, who's not any better than Saliba in my opinion, it's just kind of like a backwards way of doing things. Just keep Saliba. Just offer him a new deal. Osei says, Jess really should take news with a pinch of salt, especially regarding Saliba. We actually do not know what's going on until he returns back to Arsenal. And that, like, at the beginning of every show, I always say, like, we're not here to really, like, dig down deep and dig our heels into what's real and what's not. It's just more of a conversation starter. I'm not sure what part of this is true and what part is not. But I do also recognize that when the news is not something that we want to hear, we're quick to dismiss it. And so, but everything that we like to hear is true. So I talk about everything as if it could be true so we can open up a conversation. And it doesn't always have to be about like, what is the validity of it? It's more just about like, how do you guys feel about Saliba, him coming back, the likelihood of it, where he can fit in. And ultimately, if he doesn't come back, what do we do? Let's see. Shola says, I'm fully confident he'll return. As long as it's up to the club, they will keep him. TJ Emerson says, Jess, you're American, so I wonder if you've seen Matt Turner play. Is he good? Yes, he is. He's better than Zach Steffen. He's the number one goalkeeper for the U.S. The U.S. Churn out good goalkeepers like anything. Like American goalkeepers are always pretty good. That's something that we do pretty well. And Matt Turner is not only a good guy, but he's an Arsenal fan and he's a very good goalkeeper. Is he as good as Ramsdale with his feet? No. Will he push Ramsdale? I mean, we wouldn't be scared to have him in the goal. He ain't no Runnerson, you know what I mean? But I think he could do a really good Leno impression. You know, I think he'll have the Leno effect. Saida says, this Saliba saga is so draining. I don't think it would be wise selling him, as we have other areas to address. It's about time we worked on the midfield and attack. Exactly. And that's kind of where I sit as well with everything. So yeah. Tony says, Matt Turner is my second favorite MLS keeper. Who's your first? Hakum says, Zach Steffen is pretty shocking though, Jess. Is that saying much? I mean, he just is better than Zach Steffen. But I think he could do a really good Leno impression, meaning he's a very good shot stopper. He's decent with his feet. Good guy, 27 years old, Arsenal fan. And Leno wants to be a number one. Matt Turner could be a number one somewhere, but he wants to have the opportunity to play for the Arsenal. I think that's important. Tony says Saliba ain't going nowhere. White, Gabriel, Saliba, and Holding sounds like a great center back depth. It really does. That Austin Trusty guy, I would say, I feel like that was something that I don't think we're ever going to see Austin Trusty play for Arsenal Football Club. That's what I will say. I don't think it's something that we need to look to for the summer. I think if we do anything with him, he'll be loaned out for a long, long time. So yeah, there we go. All right, so moving on from Saliba, make sure you guys are in the chat box letting me know what you guys think. So this is from Ekram. Again, he's not always super reliable, but we talked about this yesterday, and I mentioned GNABRY yesterday, and when we were talking about Sterling. And so he says Arsenal have SERGE, GNABRY on their short list. So we should have him on our short list. Not just because he used to play for Arsenal, but because he fits the mold of an experienced attacker he's played in the Champions League. He's reliable and he can play multiple positions. I think he fits that mold for us. And so if we were to qualify for the Champions League, this is somebody that I would like to see us push for. Running down his deal, could probably get him for 45 million or something like that. It's peanuts, for somebody of GNABRY's quality. And I don't think we could actually get Sterling. I don't think we have the money for it, but SERGE GNABRY is definitely somebody that I think we could go for. I like this link a lot. I just want to know what you guys think about it. And would you like Gnabry to come back? Would you prefer somebody else? I think Gnabry is kind of like the Champions League pick, and Cody Gakpo would be the Europa League pick. I don't think you can get it. You can get him without Champions League, but he's looking for somewhere to go. He's looking for somewhere to kind of reignite his career. He hasn't been bad. I mean, the idea that Serge Gnabry has been bad with 14 goals and 5 assists this season in the Bundesliga and 3 goals and 1 assist in the Champions League is an absolute farce. That's good. You know, it's not world-class numbers, but it's better than what we have. And I think it fits in line with the Gabriel Jesus and Tielemans signings. It's definitely not world-class signings, but they definitely raise our level. And I think that's kind of where we are, you guys. I don't think we're quite in the, okay, well, we're going to get the world-class winger. We're going to go out there and grab Raheem Sterling. We're going to go out there and get Tchouaméni. We're going to go out there and get Osimhen and smash the transfer window with a $300 million group of players. I don't think that's where we really are. But players like this that are running their deal down, that are quality players, that are better than what we have with more experience, that we can get on a cut price deal because they're running their deals down. I think that's kind of a theme. Gnabry, Tielemans, and Gabriel Jesus are all running their deals down. Yo-Yo says, indifferent. As long as the club have a plan for the player, I can't care any less. Dublin Gooner says Gnabry would be exciting, and he loves the club. Josh says Gnabry at center forward. And again, Gabriel Jesus and Gnabry can both play central and on either side. So that gives you so much flexibility in what you do. And personally, I'm not too locked into the idea that we have to have like a big, tall, strong center forward. If we got one, that's fine. But I think the flexibility of having multiple players that can play there and just better attackers that score more goals, I think is more what we need than like, we need a striker that can score 30 goals. TJ Emerson says if we put down the money, we could get Tchouaméni, but I don't think we would. I mean, there's already reports that he has personal terms with Liverpool. I just don't think we're in. I know that we have the money, and if we had Champions League, we have what he requires. But I think if we're all being kind of honest here, there's Arsenal's project, and then there's the juggernauts of like Liverpool and City, Real Madrid, these type of teams that if they call, you're going regardless. And I think Tchouaméni is looking for something like that. That's everything that I've read has said that that's what he wants. He wants to go to a team that's fighting for everything, and we're not quite there yet. So this is what it is, you know? iGamer says, Jesus and Gnabry would absolutely improve our attacking prowess. Josh says, absolutely. Those two would make us win a lot of Champions League games. Hakoum says, I agree, Jess. Having two players like Gabriel Jesus and Serge might be more valuable than having somebody like DCL. I don't want to see DCL anywhere near Arsenal Football Club. I don't think he's going to score more goals than Gnabry. I don't think that's definitive. I just feel like I think DCL is a good player in a bad way right now. I haven't seen him play well in a long time. So I'm very like, ooh, when's the last time I seen you play good? I realize that Everton don't have a lot of creative players and he's been injured, but do I think we just need to bring him in because he's a target guy that can head the ball into the net? I've seen Gabriel Jesus and Serge Gnabry score goals with their head as well. I don't think that that's a prerequisite for what we need. Paul says Scamacca is the target man we need. Love Scamacca, but we know that Italian players don't leave that league very often. I don't know if it's something with their national team, like you have to be playing in that league to be considered or something like that. That's what it feels like. So unless you're like Jorginho or Verratti, you can get away with whatever you want. But I don't see him leaving, especially if someone like Lautaro Martinez or Osimhen were to leave Serie A. I'm sure the next person that they'd be looking to, especially because Vlahovic has already gone to Juventus, would be Scamacca. That's just how that league kind of works. Seawalder says, I do not get the DCL thing. I understand why people would want him. I get the profile that they're looking at, and when you're looking at him in his best light, he looks like somebody who could be good for Arsenal. Arsenal fan, English, 25 years old, still can get better. A taller, stronger center forward that can hold the ball up and head the ball in the back of the net. So he ticks a lot of boxes for a lot of people that are looking for a target man. I just think there's a lot of negatives to Dominic Calvert-Lewin as well. And can I say without a shadow of a doubt that if you spend 40 million on Dominic Calvert-Lewin, you're going to get more goals from him than you would from Serge Gnabry? I can't say that definitively. Yo-Yo says the club badly needs the right forward winger for Saka's sake. I mean, if you look at, the forwards that we have, you could play Gnabry on the right, Gabriel Jesus in the middle, and Martinelli on the left. You could play Saka on the right, Gnabry through the middle, and Gabriel Jesus on the left. Like, you could basically just move those pieces around, so it gives you a lot of flexibility and backup for Saka. All right, let me just take a drink. Almost choked, you guys. When you feel like you're about to choke on your drink, I was like, because I didn't. If I had spit that out right now, we would just had to stop the stream. Don One says Matt Turner has an unbelievable story, especially from where he comes from. He does, and I think having the goalkeeper situation sorted, I think just makes it so much easier for the summer. We know Bernd Leno will go. We'll get some money for him. His wages will be off the bill. It's fine. I like knowing that the goalkeeper situation is taken care of. Seawalder says Gabriel Jesus, Gakpo, or Gnabry, and Basuma, and I'd be set. I don't know what happens with Basuma this summer. I don't know if his that case is kind of looming over his head and people are afraid to take a gamble on him. But last time I checked, his contract was running down. Do I think we need a central defensive midfielder? Yes, but not because I know Thomas Partey is going to start most games. I feel like Arsenal are just going to go with ELNENY and Lokonga and focus more on the left-sided 8 that will be more progressive. And that's why we probably won't be looking at Basuma this summer. Jason says, as much as I want Gnabry to come back to Arsenal, I don't think he'd choose us over Real Madrid if they come knocking. I think one of the issues with Real Madrid, and the ultimate reason why he's not re-signing with Bayern Munich is they won't give him his wages. And there's also been rumors that Real Madrid also don't want to pay those wages. You know who could pay those wages? Arsenal Football Club. So I would at least throw my hat in the ring. If he ended up still going to a Real Madrid or something like that, I could totally understand that. But yeah, I mean, I would at least throw my hat in the ring and see what happens. Crystal Culture says, I have known Tielemans since his 6th, have seen him since his debut live at Anderlecht. And how was that? So yeah, let's move on. I am for Gnabry coming back as our Champions League pick. And if we can't get him because we don't have Champions League, going for Cody Gakpo. That's what I would do. Players that can play on both sides and through the middle, natural goal scorers, athletic, quick, all those things. That's what I would like. There's almost 200 of you guys watching. So like the video, subscribe to the channel. Next slide. Let's talk about Eddie. So before we get into where he could go, I do think it's so good for Ghana that Eddie has decided to switch his, to switch from England to Ghana. And so is Callum Hudson-Odoi. That's so good for Ghana. And I think it's so good for these young players that know they're not going to make it into the French team and the England team, even Spanish team sometimes, and go with the other country that they're eligible for. I think that's such a good thing because you want to see other teams be good as well. And if you're not going to make it, which I don't think Eddie's going to make the England national team, right? Or he would. So why would you give up having international football? You only get a couple of World Cups. You don't get it. International careers aren't necessarily, they're not always long. You know what I mean? So I really like how a lot of players are starting to do that. They're playing for Jamaica now. They're playing for their African countries now. I really like that. I think Balogun chose the United States as well. So, I mean, I'm loving that. But I like that for Eddie. I love that for Eddie. So he'll get to play in the World Cup, which is amazing. West Ham are leading the race to sign Eddie Nketiah on a free transfer this summer. There's a lot of Arsenal fans that have kind of changed their tune on Eddie. I'm not really too bothered either way, because I do feel like if Eddie stays, then we go after maybe a bigger striker. Then maybe Gabriel Jesus. Maybe we do go after Osimhen. And Eddie, I think, is a good, backup kind of guy. So it's fine. I won't die if he resigns. I do think that we have a love affair with players that play a couple of good games, and we're emotional when we kind of talk about these things, and we forget about, what maybe their level is and stuff like that. But with Eddie, I understand that Arteta is very keen on getting him to resign. Now, would West Ham be a good move for him? West Ham need a striker. They were trying to sign Darwin Nunez in January. They've been interested in Jonathan David as well. But Eddie could present a interesting opportunity for them. I mean, they play on the counterattack. I think he'd be good doing that. They're kind of like a hard-working, hard-pressing, organized team. So I think he'd be decent there. I wouldn't be surprised if Newcastle went back in for him. Wouldn't be surprised if Crystal Palace did. He's going to have a lot of suitors. And so I really think it's going to be difficult for Arteta to convince him to take some backup role at Arsenal. I don't believe that he's like dying to go because he doesn't love Arsenal. It's just, you're 22 years old. You want to play day in and day out. And he's never going to get that at Arsenal with, a player like even Gabriel Jesus ahead of him, I don't think. So I feel like it could go either way, but my heart says that he's going to go, and I wouldn't even blame him if he did. But West Ham, I think, is an interesting option for him. And I also think Newcastle would be interesting for him as well. Brighton really should be in for Eddie Nketiah. They create so many chances, and Eddie needs to be in the type of team where they're creating a lot of chances. I think he'd be excellent at Brighton, but I wonder what he'll do. Matt says, my ideal situation is we sign him up and we loan him out. Worried he will be sick in the future, but also worried he might not be what we need right now. So kind of try to keep, have your cake and eat it too. I hear that. James says, West Ham needing Nketiah. Antonio is shambles. Guy's awful. He's so bad. He's so terrible, Antonio. Yeah, he's definitely getting his spot taken. Arsenio says, hi, Jess. Sorry for my lateness. Had to run some errands. I had some errands to run. Got here ASAP. Great to see you as always. It's nice to see you as well. Hope those errands went well. And yeah, get involved. iGamer says, if we sell him, I want him out of the country with a buyback clause. I mean, is that Nketiah? Because Nketiah is free, so we're not selling him to anybody. He's gone. Like, you know what I mean? Yo-Yo says, should have sold Eddie when we had the chance. Ado keeps squandering assets. Yeah, I think Yo-Yo brings up a really good point that we probably should have sold him before. Why didn't we sell him when we could have? There's been several offers on the table for him. And before the one from Crystal Palace where he turned down because they wouldn't give him enough money, there's been opportunities to sell Eddie, and we haven't done it. And so now he might go for free. There have been reports recently that Arsenal are quietly confident that Eddie will sign. So Arteta, I don't think, would be putting this much effort into somebody that's a complete lost cause. I do think we have to have Europe. Eddie has to feel like he's going to get playing time. And maybe he will go for, because we can also offer him what he wants. He wants almost $100,000 a week. And I could see us giving him that. Will a team like Brighton give him $100,000 a week? Will a team like Crystal Palace give him $100,000 a week? Probably not. So, if we could offer him playing time plus the wages that he wants, yeah, he might end up staying. But I do think that we missed a trick when we didn't sell him before. TJ Emerson says, Jess, would you take Patrick Schick as he has a $30 million release clause? No, I don't like him very much. I know he's scoring a lot of goals, but I'm not a big fan of his. I don't know why. I just, there's some players you just can't see him in an Arsenal kit. He's one of those. So I think good player, scores a lot of goals. Not really for me. There you go. Amira asked, would your opinion on Eddie change if he was our January loan signing? Young, looks clinical, outscoring his XG considering his playing time, backed himself and said all he needs is a run of games. My thing on Eddie right now is just like, what I would do is I would let him go and bring in 2 strikers that I know for sure are exactly what we need. That is what I would do. Now, am I so hell-bent on things? See, this is the thing about me, you guys. I can have a way that I would do things, but I can always see why it would be beneficial to do things another way. And so I see value in Eddie, and I can see why, having him as a backup would be a good option. I can see, him being somebody that can get us 10 goals next season if he continued on the way that he is. Do we know for sure that he's going to continue with this sort of trajectory? We don't. It's such a small sample size. That's why I'd prefer to get a sure thing. We know when players are playing for moves and contracts, they play a lot better. That's not to say that this is some devious plan from Eddie Nketiah. I'm just saying that we're emotional right now. He's doing a very good job for us. And, so now people are really excited about him and want him to stay. I can see why you would want him to stay and why you wouldn't. I would move on, but if he stays, I won't die because I know we're going to get a striker. I know we're going to at least get one. And, that's fine with me. It's Arteta's funeral at the end of the day. If Eddie Nketiah turns out to be mid and after this doesn't score another goal, that's on him, so we'll just have to see. But it could go either way. I'm not about to sit here and act like I know the future on Eddie Nketiah. I can have an opinion on it and guess, but I don't know for sure. Tony says, I would sign Eddie on a free. I would too. I mean, if I was Brighton or somebody, I would. I'd be dying to get him. Tony says, Brighton is my pick if Eddie leaves. He has to go somewhere where, if he's going to leave Arsenal, he has to go somewhere where he knows for sure he's going to start. And it's a system where he will get a lot of chances. And I think Brighton does that for him. Dial Square says, I can visualize Eddie lifting the Champions League trophy. Not. Fair enough. Paul says, I think his wage demand as well as a loan out for the season might work. It's guaranteed playing time. TJ Emerson says, Eddie isn't worth $100,000 a week. Well, that's what he thinks he's worth. And we know what his agent is like. We've dealt with him before. He's going to want to get Eddie a payday. So he's going to give up the signing bonus. He's not going to give up that signing bonus for $50,000 a week. And we have players that are backups that are on 75, 90 grand a week, so he's just looking at what other people are getting paid and he's like, why not me? But I'm chilling on this one because we just have to see how things play out. This is just not something that I feel like I'm going to personally get like all, crazy about, because I have had very strong opinions on Nketiah and he has looked better. He has improved. So we just have to see how things play out. Mikey says, Eddie has arrived, Jess. He's comfortable at this level. Rancid Pumpkin says, it's very difficult to judge Eddie. Yes, at the moment he's doing great, but I doubt he would maintain this form over an entire season. And so, yeah, it could go either way. So last but not least, before maybe we do some questions, we'll do some questions. I know that there's a game coming on soon, right? So yeah, but I want to talk about vivianne Miedema. Obviously, striker for the Arsenal women. I know I don't always mix the shows, but I think that this was important because she's the best striker at the club, and it's not even close. Miedema is one of the best players, best women's players in the world, and it would be devastating if she left the Arsenal, especially before the rebuild really starts, as we saw with Arteta. Arteta got a new deal as well as Jonas Idewal. And I think this is a very similar. So Vivianne Miedema is closing in on a 1-year extension with Arsenal. And this is kind of similar to what we got with Leah Williamson when she wanted to see where the project is going before she signs her life away. And I think it's important for Arsenal women, off of the back of coming second in the WSL and kind of not really doing very well in the Champions League, to show the type of ambition that a player of MIEDEMA'S standards would want to see. Arsenal women need they need something. In the WSL, they can pretty much run over everybody, but the gap between them and Chelsea, although it was very close this season, is not as close as I think people think it is. Chelsea have won the league 3 times in a row. They're building up some type of dynasty, and they have 2 teams full of world-class players. So Arsenal are behind in that. But what I will say is that I do think that there's going to be a shakeup. We've already seen Raffaele come in, a Brazilian international that's very, very good. She got injured, but she's really good. Her and Leah Williamson together is special. I think we need a goalkeeper. We need a couple of midfielders. Wouldn't be surprised if Kim Little left. And we need a number 10. We're also looking at another Brazilian striker. And we just need a couple more players. We know Beth Mead is mustard, but we need something else on the other side. So I'm hoping that Arsenal women take this extension, don't take it lightly, because you don't get players like Vivianne Miedema coming to your club every day. When she leaves Arsenal, she'll go to Barcelona. She'll go to a team that's going to win trophies. So she's giving us a 1-year extension to kind of show me what you guys are going to do. And so I hope that they have a big summer transfer window and we can close the gap on Chelsea and go further in the Champions League. But this is really good news for Arsenal women and Arsenal Football Club in general. Getting players to not leave and to at least give us a chance is a big deal. So if you guys don't watch Arsenal women, I do suggest you give it a chance. Our team is good. They're not the best, but they're very, very good. And the women's game is growing so much. And Vivianne Miedema is such a good player. She's world class. And again, she's the best striker at the club. Yo-Yo says Vivianne is owed titles. She is. She hasn't won a lot with Arsenal. And so she's due. Tony says a lot of the Arsenal women signing got injured, right? Mana, Heath, and others. Yeah, Tobin Heath has left, obviously, because her injury was going to carry her on to the end of the season. So she's left the club. Mana got injured, and Raffaele also got injured. So we haven't really got to see, there was no fruits of our labor, really, with the signings, except for, even Paris. She didn't do that well in terms of goal scoring and stuff like that. But we still need 4 players this summer. We need another forward. Now, Blackstenius, that has been an awesome signing. She has been very good, but she's really the only signing that I feel like we saw a lot from. We got to see what she could actually be. And she's a very raw young player still, but we just need better. Caitlin Ford, I think she'll sign an extension. I think that'll be announced soon. And Steph Catley, she signed an extension or a new deal, but we just need more. I saw a rumor that would be going after the number 10 from Manchester United. So we need more, and I need them to invest in that team, because you cannot let Vivianne Miedema walk away. You're not going to get another striker like that. There is none. It's her and Sam Kerr and Ada Hegenberg. They're the best, so if you have one, you need to keep them. Tony says Katie McCabe is my wifey in the Arsenal women. James says the Arsenal women game versus Tottenham, what a game. I mean, they're so fun to watch. Matt says fully agree. We were 45 minutes from a WSL title, but let's hope we sign the players and win next year. Yeah, exactly. Amira says striker. Nah, she's a number 10 for sure. Are you talking about Miedema? Miedema was supposed to be a number 10, but she ended up being a striker. She always wanted to play as a creative midfielder. So she has that ability to do that, but she's a striker. She is. Let's say that she's kind of like a Harry Kane, if you want to give some sort of comp, she's basically like Harry Kane or Benzema, somebody who can do both. Bobby the Brave says, started watching the women's team since the opening day. Very good team domestically, but needs to improve in Europe. Well said. TJ says, I don't have the time to watch Arsenal women. Fair enough. Let's see. Ishmael says, I've gone to 6 games this season for the ladies, 2 at the Emirates. I'm sure you had a good time. I mean, I love that they're playing at the Emirates now as well when the men are not playing there. But yeah, I just wanted to drop this in here because it is a big deal that you keep your players, no matter if it's on the women's side or the men's side. And we're seeing players that are really good stay at the club to see what the project is about. And so it's the same on the women's side. And I thought that this was some news that you guys would appreciate as well. Yo-Yo says Miedema is like her idol RVP. That's the best comp for sure. So let's do a couple of questions if you guys want to. If you want to drop your questions into the chat box, I'm more than happy to answer for, let's maybe do about 15 minutes or so. I think Aston Villa and Liverpool are going to kick off, but, you know, I'd like to at least get an hour and 30 minutes in with you guys. Let me check to see. Yeah, they start in like a minute or so, but I do want to make sure that we get like an hour and 30 minutes in because I feel like you guys are worth it. So go ahead and drop questions if you feel like you want to. FTL Gunnar Craig says, looking forward to seeing a game at the Emirates next season. Would love to see the women play as well. Yeah, for sure. That's one of my goals for this coming season is to see the women play, whether it's at their field or at the Emirates. I really want to watch them play. TJ Emerson says, Jess, do you like other sports other than football? Nah, not really. I mean, I can sit there and watch any sport. Like, I'm a sports fan, but do I follow it like religiously? No, because if there's a chance that I can watch football, and there's always football on. There's always football on, whether it's MLS, international, women's. There's always something on for me to watch. So I kind of don't spend a lot of time watching other sports. But if I had to choose another sport to watch, it'd be basketball. I watched the college, like the NCAA college, like women's tournament. I really enjoyed that. I like college basketball better than the NBA, but I can sit there and watch basketball for sure. Rancid Pumpkin says Sterling or Gnabry. I think in terms of who's better, I think Sterling is world class and Gnabry is a top player, you know, if you're looking at like the tiers. But I would probably go with Gnabry. I think he's more obtainable, and I like the fact that he's played for Arsenal before. Yeah, so I would probably go for Gnabry for those reasons, but Sterling is obviously a world-class player. Ishmael says, what do you think of the song? I sort of feel it. This could finally be our game. I like the song. If you mean like the Angel song, I do like it. I like corny Arsenal stuff. I like the content. I like anything I can get my hands on. I don't care. Like I want the fans to like the team and to be together and have fun. And I don't think we should take anything like too serious. You know what I mean? So the song, I like it. It's fun. You know, it's nothing to be like, oh my gosh, that's so corny. It's like a bootleg version of You Never Walk Alone. Who cares? Like, it's just fun. I like it. Pap says, who do you think will stay at the club out of the players that are on loan? Saliba. That's it. Bellerin will go. Torreira's pretty much gone. Ainsley Maitland-Niles will leave. Pablo Marie will be gone. Reece Nelson, I think, will go. I don't think anybody but Saliba is coming back. We already kind of talked about Guendouzi. You know, Reece Nelson is an interesting one because he's doing well now, but it's taken him a long time to kind of get back. And I just don't see where in the direction that we're moving in where he fits in. So I do think Reece Nelson will go, even though I am happy for him that he's starting to get back into form. Really good for him because he was like a shadow of himself. But I think just Saliba, I think we're pretty content with letting all these people go. Balogun will come back, and Brooke Norton-Cuffy will come back as well. But they'll probably go back out on loan, if that makes sense. Like, I think there's a long-term plan to integrate those two back into the team. Yo-Yo says, who's getting relegated from the Prem? Let's look at the table. Because I say something different every single time. Bram standings. Okay. So all of them have, okay. Everton has played one game less than Burnley and Leeds. What do you need? Maybe 38 points to stay up? Maybe? Ooh. Let's see. I think Everton has 35 points. Burnley has 34. Leeds has 34. Leeds. They have Man City. Oh, no, they already played Man City. Brentford. Brighton. You know what? Honestly, I think Leeds will go down. I think it'll be Leeds. I think they'll lose to Chelsea, and I think they'll lose to Brighton as well. I think it'll be Leeds, especially with Ayling getting the red card and the injuries that they've gotten over the last couple of days. Yeah, I think it'll be Leeds. I think Everton will survive. Master Roshi says, don't you think we need to get Hickey fast before City starts sniffing? Yeah, and I think that's why it looks like the talks are happening now and we're not waiting. He's the type of player that you could probably get without knowing if it's going to be Champions League or Europa League. So yeah, for sure. City, I don't know what they're going to be in for this summer. Maybe a left back, maybe a right back, maybe not. Maybe a left back because of Mendy. And Ake is not very good, and Zinchenko is really a backup. So maybe they're in for a left back. City will probably get a center midfielder as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Frankie de Jong ended up at Man City. But yeah, we need to get that done quick. Quick, fast. Amira says, are you planning to go to any of the Arsenal games in the US? No, because I'm planning on being in London. That's a little something that I haven't really told anybody before, but I'm telling you guys now that I am planning on being in London in the near future. So if I do watch an Arsenal game, it'll be at the Emirates. James says, am I a fan of Mikel as a manager? He's growing on me. As a coach, I think he's excellent. I think you can tell that the team is well coached. What he's getting out of this team, this young team, is great, and we look like a team that knows what we're doing. We always have a plan. The tactics are on point, in my opinion. But as a manager, I think that's where Arteta needs to grow, and I think he has improved with his man management. I think there was a period of time where managing the fringe guys didn't really seem like it was happening as good as it could have. But the way that he's been able to get ELNENY and Tavares and Nketiah into this team in our time of need and get them playing quickly. Of course, we lost a couple of games in the like that medium period of time, but he was able to rectify it, and now we're back on track. That's something that I don't think would have happened last season. So Arteta is growing on me. I've never really bought into all he hates this player, he hates that player. I really never really bought into that. And my whole thing was always about our Arsenal's moving in a good direction. We have young players that are getting better. Can Arteta become the manager that we need to take us to the top of the mountain? And that's where I'm not really sure just yet. Do I think he could get us top 4? Absolutely. But there is a difference between getting into the top 4 and actually like competing with Pep and Klopp and that type of stuff. So that's what I would want to see. But yeah, in general, I do like Arteta. But do I like him so much that I'm willing to ignore his errors and not be honest about him, and also feel like not ever think that he should be sacked? No. I'm always going to keep it real with you guys. TJ Emerson says, Jess, what is it like witnessing the Invincibles? I didn't see them. I was born the year that they did that in 2004. It was, watching that team play live, like I honestly feel like I took it for granted, because I never would have thought that we'd be watching the likes of Mustafi and Socrates and these type of Lichtsteiners and stuff play for Arsenal Football Club. So I think I took it for granted, but watching that team play, you just didn't know what you were witnessing until it was gone. And the energy at Highbury was much different than it is at the Emirates. And that team was just really, really special. And so for me, seeing that team, and I was obviously like young. I was like 15, well, not super young, but like 15, 16. So watching that team for me was so super special. I go back and watch the games on YouTube to just get that feeling back, because that team was something else. It really, really was. But yeah, watching them go invincible, and no, it wasn't pretty. There was a lot of draws in there. There were some near losses in there as well. But that team just had the mentality. They just really did. So yeah, I mean, it's so far behind us now that sometimes I want something else for us to cling on to, because that was our most successful period and we haven't ever replicated it since then. It's tough because we're always going back to the Invincibles and talking about Arsene Wenger. And I really hope that this is the next era of something really special, so that we can talk about that and not always go back to the Invincibles. But yeah, watching them win the league, and in the way that they did it was super special, and the players were just immense. Pap says, Jess, what do you think of Borussia Dortmund signing? I think they're great. Kareem Adeyemi from Salzburg. Borussia Dortmund is such a well-run club. I mean, they went through a period a while back where they almost went bankrupt, and you could tell that they went into that next era of the club saying we'll never be in that position again. So they're really well run. They always sell a player and have somebody else come right in to replace them. But what I will say about Dortmund is, as somebody that watches Dortmund and watches them every week, I want to see something else than just being the second best team and well run. You know, I would like to really see them try to push Bayern Munich. It kind of sucks always kind of getting their leftovers and it kind of just being like a like the rules. Bayern Munich is always going to win everything. If you have a player that they want, you're going to give it to them. If they have some leftovers, you can have it. Like, it just kind of gets boring after a while. And I wonder if Dortmund are starting to look at it and say, like, actually being reaching for number 2 has actually left them being vulnerable to falling out of that number 2 position on several occasions. And the performance in the Champions League wasn't great. The performance in the Europa League was catastrophic. And with all the players, like the young players, always knowing that there's another move, a bigger move in the future, I don't actually think you get the stability that's required. So yeah, as somebody who watches Dortmund and really loves the club a lot, I'm bored. You know, I am bored of that. But Adeyemi is a really good young player, obviously going to come in and replace Holland, and we'll probably go for 100 million to Liverpool or some shit like that in the next 2 to 3 seasons. I mean, it's just a conveyor belt, but he's a really good player, and so we'll see what happens when he makes the step up. We've seen Szoboszlai stepping up from the Austrian league to the German Bundesliga. He hasn't really hit the ground running, so we'll see what happens with Adeyemi as well. Let's see. Giovanni says, a U23 player you expect to break out during preseason. Well, I know he's probably going to go out on loan, but Omari Hutchinson, I think he's the next one up. I don't know, because I think like Aziz needs to go on another loan. His loan wasn't successful. I think he needs to go back. So I would say Omari Hutchinson will probably be the next man up, but we'll go on a loan. Out of the other players that are kind of there, I know they're really high on the Salah Dean player, the number 8 that they have, as well as like Charlie Patino is always like a big name there. So we'll see what happens with them. But I don't actually see an under 23 player breaking into the team this summer. I don't see anybody being like the next Saka or anything like that. I do think we'll see some players go out on loan though. Let's see. I am based in Los Angeles. Don One says Leeds are going down. iGamer says Leeds are going down. Mark says Burnley is going down. Seawalder says Villa are 1-0 up. Good. I'm glad, because Liverpool didn't do their job. So, Ray Ray says, Jess, how do you think we should set up on Thursday, and how would you lead the team's tactics session? So I would play a back three. I'd play Tomiyasu, Ben White, and Gabriel as our center backs, and I would play maybe even I know this might actually I think I would play maybe Martinelli and Saka as wing backs, and put all of our attackers out there, like Odegaard on the right, Nketiah through the middle, and Emil Smith-Rowe on the left, and ELNENY and Xhaka in midfield. That's what I would do. I would match them up, and I would put our best dribblers on their really weak wing backs. Emerson versus Saka is just something I need to see, because I think Emerson, no, he's on the right actually, so it would be Martinelli. Martinelli would eat him for lunch. So I would match them up, and also make sure that I had 3 forwards against their 3 center backs. That's what I would do. I would just match them up. I think person for person, we would be able to win that battle. But I would say, just don't be stupid. I wouldn't we do need to come out and be the aggressor, because if we don't score first, we won't win. We just are not the type of team that can come back, especially away from home. So we need to score first. But I don't think the way to score first is to open up and allow them to get on us on the break. I would say press them, but be smart. Man for man type of defending, and try to get that first goal. If we don't get the goal in the first 15 minutes, sit off of them and make them come out. Their fans will get nervous. If it's 0-0 and they're not pushing, their fans will get nervous and they'll start pushing forward and trying to attack. And then we could go back on the break and get them, because we're actually pretty good on the break. We're actually better when we don't have possession. But if we don't get a goal within the first 15 minutes, I think we need to sit in and defend for the rest of the half and try to get them to come out onto us. That's what I would do. But I would match them up with a back three. That's what I would do, and play our best dribblers as wing backs. We know Saka and Martinelli are really good at defending space, and it would almost be like a box. I don't know. We'll do it tomorrow. I'll show you guys in the preview what I would do. But I would play all my attackers basically. But yeah, so we've gotten to 1 hour and 32 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here, so we can go ahead and watch the Aston Villa Liverpool game. But I really enjoyed this. If you guys are just joining, keep watching. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. Share this with a friend. I'll be back for a match preview. I'll do it early, and then later on at about 10 p.m. we'll do a phone-in show or something like that, so you guys we can have a drink and just kind of download before we get into the Spurs match on Thursday. I will talk to you guys later, and yeah, bye guys.